pedigree, blood and sweat. Cain Uncut, you ain't heard nothing yet.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to the debut show of Cain Uncut. I'm your co-host, Matty, and with me, as each show, his rules, his gimmick, along with me is the legendary Sonny the Man Eagle Cain. How are you, sir?
I'm fine, sir. It's been quite a week in the world of pro wrestling. Where do you want to begin?
Oh, wow. Yeah, it's been a crazy week.
We got a new world champion. We got all kinds of things. We got a new superstar in WWE named Jordan Grace. I think is going to be in the World Heavyweight title run before the year's out, and she could take the whole thing. I mean, she's looking like $1 million.
So I'm thinking let's go Monday. Let's start on Monday. Monday Night Raw. Okay. They had the crossover with Stranger Things. What did you think of wrestling show like Monday Night Raw doing a crossover with a TV show like Stranger Things?
I thought it was fine. It struck a nerve with some of my pals on ring takes, but I thought it was a fine way to commercialize and to get the younger crowd into it. What I think creatives are trying to do is bring back the fans who were there that aren't there now, and they're trying to get those seats lined up again. And so they have creatively done this combination of things to get interest there. So if you're showing a hit TV show and you're showing wrestling too at the same time, I thought it was fine. The title was fine. I saw nothing out of the ordinary about the way they presented it. I liked Stranger Things for the belt changes. I don't know about you, but I'm liking the free belt change matches on TV now like it used to be. We used to have that. We seem to be taking a turn here in 2025, going into 2026, with having more days of old in wrestling. We're seeing more rivalries fire up. We're seeing match after match of the same people again and again, leading up to the PPLs or the pay-per-views. I'm liking all that. So what that does for me as an analyst and as a fan of the game is it opens up the door for me to see two workers work and how well they really work. Anyone can sit on the couch and critique a match. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is it gives me more room to work in. It gives me more space to really analyze both wrestlers versus a one-time thing and a belt change, and you never hear from the other wrestler again. Something we'll get into before the show is over tonight is the Rock's absence and probable return. I've been predicting this since he left about a year ago on Wrestling Spotlight, and I'm smelling the Rock in the building, at least by telephone. So that's what I'm thinking is why Cody Rhodes lost his title. I may get booed all over social media for that, but I think you'd have to be a nerd of the game not to think that way. If you think back to what The Rock told Cody, if he didn't go with him, would happen. So that's I true. Don't think WWE is going to drop their storyline on that ball and just not pick it back up and let it go again. To The Rock's credit, he's made 3 major movies while being out. And, that's his main job now. He's semi-retired. So he's not like me. He's not retired being called back into the world of podcasting. So it's a different sphere. But
it was rumored. Sorry, Sonny, but it was rumored that he is lining up for a match at WrestleMania 43 in Saudi. Have you heard about that?
I've heard about that. I think that entirely depends on the caliber of shape he's in. I do think he'll make an appearance in Saudi. I don't know what capacity. I met The Rock 2 or 3 times when I was outreach coordinator for Rock Queen for a Wrestler, which was a musical about my mentor and trainer and friend Ivan Kodoff. I co-wrote the play, everybody. I did not write every word in it. I did not write every scene in it. It has some scenes that were not Ivan Kodoff type scenes. Matty, I swear I took the heat for all that because my name was co-written. I told Philip Paul Kelly during the show, don't do this, or before the show went to play stage, don't do this, don't do that. That's how the character for Ivan. He didn't listen to me. So, you can either horse water, but you can't make him drink. And
that's true.
I would just be I stake my career on it. We're going to hear from The Rock within the next 3 months. The Rock ain't letting this go. My career as a podcaster, the whole 9 yards. That's how certain I am. The Rock is back in the picture, and hadn't never really left. It's been rumored he may have seen his last days with wrestling. He may have with wrestling, but he's still the boss. He still sits on the TKO table. He's still getting that paycheck. And every now and again, you got to go to work to get that paycheck. So,
absolutely,
no work, no paycheck.
What's your take on CM Punk versus Braun Breaker main event? I thought this match was amazing from bell to bell, even with the mishap with the Frankensteiner. I thought they tore the house down in that main event.
I thought they did too, and I'm really tickled for Braun Breaker. Braun Breaker is today's superstar. Everybody, forget tomorrow, forget the future. He's here today. I think we need to wrap our heads collectively around that thought for a minute and stop saying he's the future. Stop saying Logan Paul's the future. These people are here today. Logan Paul has just signed a multi-year deal with WWE, bringing him into the fold. He can stand on his own. He can do it all. Forget where he came from for a minute. Let's talk about his wrestling skills. Braun Breaker had ought to tone it down just a little bit, in my opinion. He'd ought to pace himself out more. And I think, I could be wrong, but I think as opposed to your typical, I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, as opposed to your ordinary, I watch wrestling critic, to someone like me who's been in the ring doing it, I think the guys could take careful criticism from me a little bit better than they can from someone just watching the show. But I think the Braun needs to tone down his speed a little bit, not run through his moves so fast, learn to pace himself out better. And I think these are the same type things we've been hearing Paul Heyman tell Braun in the locker room interviews or similar things. Don't go out there, don't go flying through it. You're now in the World Heavyweight title league of things. It's a different lane than you're used to being in. Kid has it all genetically. He's a genetically gifted phenomenon. He should be respected for his gifts, but he's still climbing that ladder. So he's still got to earn his way to the title. I don't think he's quite there yet. I think we'll probably see a few more clashes of he and CM Punk before he gets it eventually. I think it will be dropped to him. It's just a matter of time. But I'm thinking it'll be more like between now and WrestleMania, probably, of when they'll drop it. So,
do you feel that Breaker will probably will be like a face of WWE, kind of similar to like a Cody Rhodes?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think Logan Paul, the big guy that runs with them, his name leaves me at the moment. Jacob Fatu. I think all those guys are going to be on trucks here one day. I mean, they're today's champions. It's not a tomorrow thing. It's not yesteryear thing. You got to put it in today's tense and say This is what WWE has. This is what they're showcasing week after week. And this is what's going to sell tickets. Now, do I think these guys will hold up 15 years from now? Maybe, maybe not. But I think we'll still see at the end of the day Braun Breaker on the truck. And I think we'll see Logan Paul on the truck too. Wow. So I actually saw when Logan and Paul Heyman got together finally. They did a after pay-per-view interview, and I can't remember how Logan worded it specifically, but the bottom line to the to his conversation on the mic was he didn't need nobody. And Paul raised an eyebrow to that. And the very next week, he and Logan began rolling together a little bit. So that's what I look for in interviews. That's what I look for in people. Who's raising an eyebrow? We have to talk about Siobhan Evans on Monday Night Raw. My guy. I saw Siobhan a year ago when he was 20. I told Bentley, I said he's going to be there in about a year. Here we are in a year. Do I think I can call all the predictions? I said this on Facebook today a little bit earlier before we came on the air. No, I don't think I get all the predictions 100% right, but I think I have a record now of being a little more right than wrong. So with that, I get to talk a little bit more. It's kind of how I'm making my money these days, everybody. I'm talking. So.
It's the best way.
It doesn't hurt as bad in the morning either. So.
I've heard you praise Javon Evans on Wrestling Spotlight and Ring Takes. What is it about Javon that just stands out?
His motivation. He's just red hot in the ring. So today's wrestling has gone from in the ring, this is what we can all do, to flying outside the ring, hitting each other from flying moves. I did some top turnbuckle flying that a karate instructor buddy of mine, who's going to be taking me to black belt here at some point, remembers. But we didn't fly off the top turnbuckle onto the floor. We flew off the top turnbuckle onto the mat. That's the difference. Siobhan flies off the top turnbuckle onto the floor through the ropes. He wrestles very much like a Luke Dorn wrestler. I couldn't say that word a few months ago, but I've heard it so much now I think I can pronounce it. And he's just impressed me. He looks drug-free to me. He looks like he goes to the gym 5 days a week like he's supposed to. And he's freaking happy to be there. You've got some guys that walk in and literally get on the mic and complain week after week about, I don't understand why I'm not going anywhere. It's because they're hearing them complain, probably. That's my spin on it. If I was in creatives, I'd say, God, here we go again. You know, when he stops complaining, we'll talk about moving that person up, he or her. And I could think of a name that comes to mind, but, you know, he finally figured it out on there. He said, to his credit, he said, I need to lay off complaining and start being more positive. Well, they heard that in the creative office too. If I was a wrestler today in the WWE, and some of the guys going may not agree with me, but I would be thinking in the back of my head that everything out of my mouth and everything I did once I entered the building to wrestle, the creatives would hear. And I would edge my performance and my interview time toward the creatives hearing me talk. You seldom ever heard Ric Flair talk down during an interview, but even when he won the world champion, he always talked up. And that got him more titles than not, I think, because of his positive attitude. You see him behind me here. He and I in 1989, after I'd worked for him for 4 years. But anyway, that was a meetup. And, you know, you can't show your weaknesses to people when you're in a business like that. I freely talk online about the ins and outs of pro wrestling, but I don't think that's showing my weaknesses. That's sharing. with people. This is what me experienced. And I think that's what draws people in. Back to Monday Night Raw, I was real pleased with the belt changes that went on during the match. Even the women's belt change I thought was okay. I like a lot of people, though, were probably anticipating Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss to pick up the titles from Acosta, but that didn't go that way. So, the women are my absolute favorite in the industry. I champion the women. They've not always been paid fairly or treated fairly in the business. I'm not quite sure why that is, but I've heard talk that WWE is working on that, trying to get the pay scale more fairly than it has been. I don't think every woman should have to wear a two-piece bathing suit to wrestle in. I think if they want to wear the one pieces, that's fine. I actually know somebody who didn't make it in WWE because she wanted to wear a two-piece. And, good for her. And she continued to wrestle throughout the years independently and abroad in different places independently. And she's well known for it. But that's when you have to put your own being into it. So I'm not a fan of how WWE looks at women always in the industry
That's
today.
true. That's true. I read a crazy fact. Yeah, it was a crazy fact. I think this is something to do with Vince Russo. But in 1999, when they're about to start the SmackDown, like Great SmackDown, the actual SmackDown show was supposed to be for just the women.
Right.
So it was supposed to be for the likes of Trish, China,
like
all that.
WOW thing, a woman's of wrestling type show. And we didn't get that. We got more wrestling. So
yeah. I think they wanted it to be like Glow kind of thing. So
and I would have been fine with that. I was actually home looking forward to seeing that, and it never happened from the kickoff to now. It's been just 3 more hours of the run-of-the-mill stuff. And like in any other endeavor, you can't get hurt if you don't ever jump. So, sometimes you got to jump. And WWE hasn't jumped but so much over the years, in my opinion. So
I agree with you on that sense. When we're just about to leave Monday Night Raw, which I'm gonna do a prediction now. I'm gonna hold it for you until Royal Rumble comes around. So pick 2 Raw wrestlers, 1 female, 1 Raw that will win the Royal Rumble. So 1 Raw. Raw, male and female, basically. But it has to be from Raw.
Aren't most of them in the Royal Rumble? Correct me if I'm wrong. Aren't most of the guys in the?
The most 9 out of 10 it probably will be. So the ones that you're thinking that might win the Royal Rumble will probably be in the Royal Rumble.
I was thinking lightly about this today that might be a question. Let's see.
Like one of the favorites at the moment is Gunther.
Yeah, probably Gunther in the men's division, and it's a toss up in the women's division between Charlotte Flair and Stephanie Figueroa. Am I saying that?
She's currently the women's champion, isn't she, Stephanie Barker? So unless she drops the title in the next 2 weeks, so it could happen. Drops it to Raquel and then wins the Royal Rumble. Could happen.
Yeah,
she's won everything else in the last 4 months.
She's really impressed me here lately with her abilities in the ring. I don't like seeing a lot of mic work over ring time. I like seeing the ring time both ways. And I don't mind the backstage brawl, but if they would get away from the backstage brawliness and bring it out into the open and have interview attacks, I think that would be a lot more appropriate than everyone getting hurt backstage.
That's a good way of thinking it.
They seem to be on the kick about that now, that they want to do everything, that they want to show us all of the backstage, and that really doesn't appeal to me. What appeals to me is the actual ring time and near the ring kind of things. So
yeah. We're just going off Raw anyway. I'm surprised about this because I watched this and I still can't believe he did it. Obafemi has relinquished his NXT heavyweight title. He is going to either Raw or SmackDown in the next week or so. What's your take on how clever I feel that NXT creative did that way?
I don't really have a take on it yet at this point. I'm still digesting some things going on in Raw or in NXT, pardon me. I think we need to bring in some more talent to NXT now that we're bumping everybody up who deserves to be bumped up. Should have been bumped up 3 months ago, in my opinion. But since we're now getting to that, I think we need to look at how are we going to go about replacing them. We have a lot of talent in TNA. Maybe we'll get to see some of that being showcased. I really hope that this TNA WWE NXT merger doesn't go haywire, and where the WWE buys out TNA. I hope they continue the merger, because with the merger, that gives more people more places to go to work. You get more exposure. It's good ratings for everybody. Everyone gets to see everyone that's running versus just hearing about them. I'm not a fan of all this hearing about. I think it would be interesting if creatives would show TNA talent and other league talent before they come, and let us get to know them that way, kind of like y'all present my show here to fanfare and general public when I'm about to be on the show. So in doing that, that gets you ready a little bit. Well, so-and-so's coming, or Andre's done this, or Andre's done that, or this person's now gone down to work on some things to go back up again. And that's what it boils down to. When you see WWE main roster people in NXT, that's not always being there to help out. That's sometimes a bump down for a minute so they can work on some skills to go back up. And that's something that's not really talked about. I'd like to touch on for just a minute while we're on NXT. I'm a huge Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels fan, have been from day one. Just thought the guy had it all, presented a lean body during his wrestling days. He wasn't the biggest wrestler in the ring, but what he could do in showmanship, in my opinion, carried him over in the matches to get the outcome he wanted. So a lot's been said about Mr. Michaels having back issues and haven't gotten addicted to painkillers again. If he has, let's pat him on the back, get him in rehab, get him off the painkillers, help him if he's willing to take the help, and not criticize him. The rings are hard. People don't realize how hard the rings are. And I told Joe this on Wrestling Spotlight, Matty. I said, pay someone $20 at a show, a promoter, just to walk up on the ring and test out the ring yourself, and you'll see how hard the ring is. Some bounce more today than they did back in my day. I wrestled in a lot of old WWF rings that had no give. My dad didn't realize everything I've been through in the business, but it had no give, and you had to work. And I do agree with the wrestlers selling more than making it look like a dance. But in my opinion, the way I was taught a little bit by the time I got to training camp, even though they didn't use the word dance, you do look out for your partner. Your partner looks out for you. You get through the match. You're not there to kill each other. That's the discrepancy that a lot of the guys are having today. You have a lot more shooters in the business today than you had in my day. I dare say it's great. As much as I like Roman Reigns, he's part shooter, and he'll probably tell you that. So, when they throw spears and things at people, that's a little bit of shooting, in my opinion. And I'm a guy from old school. I mean, it sells well, but, it's a hard-hitting move. But that's my opinion of NXT right now. And I watch the show faithfully, and I think it's pretty neat that after 2 years of talking to Bentley about NXT and to a couple of you guys about it, everybody's starting to watch NXT now. So I'm really happy to watch it. Wait to be able to discuss it.
There was some actually when we were talking about Raw Day. The question I wanted to ask you, it just quickly came back in my head. When we were talking about Braun Breaker, did you have any interactions with his dad and his uncle?
Just a little bit. When I was in the NWA area of wrestling, I would go to shows to watch from time to time, and I saw them in a couple of candid moments before they went to the ring. I saw one of the guys being treated, I assumed, for an injury before the match occurred. The Dollface Gremlin was the guy, and they gave him a shot of something one night. I was never informed what it was actually, but I assumed it was injury related to help him get through his match. They were kind of standoffish people. They didn't interact. They didn't have tables out. They weren't, here we are, how you doing? Nice to see you. They just put the face on, went to the ring, and did it. And that works too. But I think you have to always be aware of the fan. Like today, I was telling you my story of coming, before coming here, I had an issue with my boom arm. I went out and I ran into a couple of people that really liked wrestling who were servicing me on getting my parts to fix my boom arm today. And they knew who I was, and we just had a good talk for a few minutes. And that's the way I interact with people. Not everyone does that. Some people treat this like, boom, I've got to go do this now. But to me, the way I do it's a little better because it gyrates interest. And the first thing this young man said to me was, "We were talking about you the other day in your podcast." I said, "Really?" He said, "Really?" He said, "Me and somebody here had a running conversation about you and about what you had done in your podcast." And he was into our talk, and I was too, because it's happening more frequently now that I'm on the air more. But you got to be aware of the fans. The fans are what sells the paycheck. And who taught me that was Elvis Presley. I got to ride with Elvis for 3 years as a young man because Mama was dating him. And he'd be in the car, rolled up on people, and people would come to the car. Well, of course, it wasn't as mean as it was today. But he'd always give a little wave from the car. He'd always slow down for a picture, even in the car, to be taken. And I asked him about it as a youngster. I said, "Why do you do that?" He said, "They put food on my table." Yeah. And I said, "Oh." And then he'd always have a couple of guys with us. But, you got used to that. And growing up around it, that was the atmosphere that taught me how to be a fan-driven person, was watching the bigger guys and watching Flair walk out and sign autographs and be late going to the ring. Why? Because he had a meet and greet. We didn't call it that back in the day, but that's what it boiled down to. He had a spontaneous meet and greet before he went to the ring. So today he just walks on by. But that's but not so much back in the early days of his career. He'd really take time out and do the fan interaction bit. And I got to confess, it's nice still getting noticed. So after 35 years now being in, so
Did you probably will know this. Did Elvis like wrestling?
did who?
Elvis.
Well, one more time with the question. I'm sorry.
Did Elvis like wrestling?
Very much so. Yes. I met Elvis through Ric Flair. When Mama was seeing Flair was how I met Elvis, and he liked it a lot. Some say that's where he got his belts from, his belt design ideas from that he'd wear on stage and off stage. And that's what I remember most about Elvis was his colorful clothes. When he wasn't here in this area around Mama, he'd come in jeans and a shirt like I'm wearing or something, and he'd have a beard and brown hair, so he blended in quite well among the locals. And people didn't know who he was if they didn't hear him talk or know who he was. But he came one time at the end of it before he died, and he was in a puffy kind of shirt and he had on black pants or something. And her boss lady, Mom's boss lady, took a picture that she will not relinquish to this day to me to even have a copy made of. But he had on glasses a little bit darker than mine, and he said before the picture was taken that was the most comfortable he had been on any of his visits to Mama. And Mom cried a bit and said, she didn't want him mobbed when he was here. So that was her thing. She wanted him to be normal. And they didn't argue over that. I mean, he got it. And he thought it was sweet. We all went back with him on that trip. So, I mean, it worked out. But they're just people, all of them. The difference in a successful wrestler, in my hindsight, and an ordinary person or anyone that makes it is the one that makes it works this business 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I spend probably 25 hours a week now between watching reels and watching the show and trying to get what I need to do the show or to feel comfortable enough to come out and do one of these shows to get the insights to talk about this. So even these shows I take seriously. I'm not a mess around kind of dude when it comes to doing a project. So my dad says, I'll tell him what he's doing and I'll be watching the show most of the time.
Fellow podcaster and part of the Wrestling Pedigree family, Christopher Rotz, said, "Hey guys, hope you enjoy the show and always enjoy professional wrestling." And one of my former bosses, Jeff Chadwick, great friend of the show, said, "What's up, Matty? Hey, Sonny." Let's get on to it now. This is going to be a very interesting bit now for AEW.
Yes, sir.
I'm quite interested for someone who had 35 years in the industry. What's your take on AEW as a whole company? The way they wrestle, the way they do it.
Yes, sir. I think they're fantastic as an overall company. I think some of online has got hold of some stuff that supposedly I said that I don't remember saying it quite the way online has it, but I think they could work a little more on their creative department in some of their storylines. I think they run them out a little too long. I think everyone as a whole, this is a whole thing. It's not just a company driven answer. Is spending more time on the storylines rather than in the ring action. And I'm ready to see some in the ring action. I mean, I want to see people bleed. I want to see the whole 9 yards. I want to see wrestling. I don't care who's doing what with whom or could be. Let's discuss wrestling. and get them back in the ring more. I bet for a 2 to 3 hour show, Matty, these days we spend about 45 minutes talking.
Yeah. It's the segments and talking and contract signings and stuff like that.
I don't mind the contract sign; that's a part of it. But to spend all that time talking, just yakety 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 yakety. You go to a show, for instance, like I'm planning to get back on the road some this spring, maybe a little bit in North Carolina area anyway. But you go to a show, Matt, and you have a guy come out of one locker room and another guy come out of the other locker room. One's the baby, one's the heel, and that's all you know, and you don't care about the rest. You enjoy the 10, 15-minute involvement between the two of them. That's what I want to see on the tube again. And I think that's why adult fans, educated adult fans, have left the business and the game of it because there's so much talking in between.
I have no problem with the talking. I feel some of the talking does benefit the storyline that they're going through, but like for me, that's why I love professional wrestling, is because there's so much different pro wrestling genres. So if I want to watch the storylines and like all that, I will watch WWE. If I want to see fun, entertainment, crazy wrestling, I'll watch AEW. If I want to watch strong style, whoop someone's ass, heel versus face, I'll watch over here Progress Wrestling. So it's all different, and that's what I love about pro wrestling, because there's so much genres, there's so much styles that there's so much about that it just fills the whole for me.
And that's the difference in the way you and I have come up. I came up with more of a grappling style. We're going to wrestle for the title 45, 50 minutes. And that's wrestling I'm used to when I think of the majors and I think of who's in it now. But back to AEW, I think AEW, whether they intended to or not, and I don't think in the beginning they intended to, are going to be neck and neck with WWE. I think the wrestling stars have made it that way now. I think we're going to see more of it in the coming months and the next couple 3 years. I think that's where it's heading. And even now, you've got WWE stars crossing over into AEW who wouldn't have done that a couple years ago. They'd gone over to Japan to have worked on their craft, or gone out to London to work on their craft, or gone somewhere and then come back. But it takes a lot out of the guys to practice their craft. And that's what I'm saying about so much talking. I would rather see more in-ring competition and see more of the art. But what I am liking from WWE, and I am liking it, is the 25, 30-minute matches now that you're seeing week to week more on TV than you and I were seeing 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's just way more entertaining to me. And notice they are starting to bleed on television now. So it's a thing.
Well, intentionally or not intentionally, but still, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I watched SmackDown last night, and so Kit Wilson's nose is like blooded and stuff like that.
Yeah, and that was unintentional, I think. I think that's just really happened.
You never know with Matt Cardona. Talking about AEW, what's your, because I've been guilty of this because I actually go to their shows when they've been over the UK, where at All In it's a 7-8 hour show of just pure wrestling. Are you a fan of that? 8 hours?
I'm a fan of the pure wrestling, but I think it would be more entertaining if it was over the weekend, like a 2-day period. I would pay a little more to see it over the weekend for a 2-day period than for 8 hours of it. I went to a match at the Dorton Arena. I said this on our interview show here too. And honest to God, we got there at like 7 that night. We were 2 in the morning leaving. they had 14 matches during that show, and it was a Great American Bash tour. But you got your money's worth. I mean, 2:30 in the morning, Flair and Rhodes duked it out, and I think Flair got Rhodes at the end on the roll up. But all those hours of just sitting in there and when's this over? When's that over? I think that I don't know this because I didn't get to ask Mom, but I think that's when Mom's interest in it began to wane a little bit. But to their credit, they were taping it that night. That's what I tried to explain to her. I said, but this is different. This is a taping. So I said, that's why the card's so long today. And she finally consented to that as time went on. But even after the hours of just sitting there, it's hard on you to sit there and watch it that long. And it's just it takes the zeal out of it to me. I mean, you have to be a devoted person to sit there and watch it that long.
Well, that I am not, but
I can't.
It takes the main event away.
It does.
You're building up for so many months of this main event, and then you got a 19 match card, and you're like, oh, and then as soon as the main event, you're like, I just want to get the F home.
Right. Agreed.
Is there anyone on AEW? Did you watch AEW on Wednesday?
I did a little bit. Then Miss Joe told me the ending, so I was down with it. And I didn't have to go back in and watch it anymore. Joe loves AEW.
Is there any particular wrestlers that caught your eye? I think there'll be something really big in the next, say, 2-3 years.
Absolutely. Mark Briscoe will be huge in 2 or 3 more years. I think Mark is on his way to being a world champion in AEW.
Steve loves you for just that comment. When he watches his back and listens to his back, he's going to love you just for that comment.
Well, I saw an interesting thing on the clip before I went in to do ring takes, and I did get to see about an hour of the show. And what I saw Mark being offered a chance to join the family. And he just sort of sat back and he didn't jump at saying no. He said no finally, but he didn't jump at it. And usually when they do that, they kind of possibly start thinking that way a little bit. He seemed genuinely surprised and flattered by the idea of it being offered to him. So it was to me it was a mutual idea being presented, and he was surprised at Kyle Fletcher for egging it on. I don't think he expected that out of Kyle.
I think if we went to AEW, if you went to AEW and you signed on their roster, I could guarantee you'll be part of that family within 1 week.
They do have a good bulk of the roster under them.
It does remind me of the Bobby Heenan family.
Kinda.
It's kind of got that feel for it. What about the females? Is there any ones that spot out for you? Think they got it.
There are two actually, Megan Bain and Toni Storm. Megan Bain has WWE written all over. I think she'll be there before the year's out.
Oh, this year?
Mm-hmm. This year.
Ooh.
Megan Bain's hot. She's 26 years old. I did a piece on her for my commentary on Gerald Bentley. I do a weekly commentary like I'll be doing here before we go off the air. But Megan Bain is the female ring general of the women's division in AEW right after Toni Storm. She's from Ohio State Valley. She's been in only a couple years. She's built like a brick house, and you could tell she works out. I think they overdo her ring entrance by a little bit by not letting her live up to it in terms of getting the W's. If you're going to have her do Charlotte Flair, that'll get the W's too. I mean, that's fine. Go ahead and say it. She's doing Charlotte Flair, in my opinion. But anyway, be that as it may, it works for her. And she gets up in the ring. She doesn't appear nervous or whatnot, like some of the younger talent does. And she does what she does. I would like to see her go to NXT and work the bigger, more rowdier crowds for a little while before going WWE. And at 26 years old, the world is at her feet. I mean, gosh. She reminds me of China in a lot of ways.
Oh, her build reminds me of China. She's got attitude. She's got attitude of Charlotte and a body of like China kind of thing.
Combined.
Yeah, and that's dangerous, and that's money.
That's money. And she appears to be working both heel and baby at this point, so that's money to her too if she can make that happen.
She has a crazy schedule and all. She's going to Japan, then do AEW, then go back to Japan to do these tag team tournaments. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
What about Toni Storm? You mentioned Toni Storm.
Toni Storm still has gas in the tank. I don't think she's done with the women's world heavyweight title division. I think she's taking a break right now, trying to form some locker room alliances, which is good for her. I noticed she had bought the Butler back a little bit into her act. Fans seem to love the Butler. I like the Butler. I think it's a good run for her to be doing that. She's just a little stick of dynamite. I mean, she's not but like 5'3". She's on the shorter side of things. She could go all day long in the ring. I don't agree with the ring attire creatives for making the women wear. We talked about this a little bit earlier before coming on there tonight. I think they know that they dress more like athletes instead of like objects. That's the one curve I have against wrestling in this day and time. If they want to do a swimsuit bikini calendar, that's entirely different. But the ring is for wrestling and only wrestling, in my opinion. And, you know, I don't like seeing it be portrayed that way. And she's just got everything to me. She caught my eye about 2 years ago when Gerald got me to watching AEW. He said, look, there's only one requirement, Sonny, I have of you. I said, what's that, Mercy? He said that you began watching AEW so you and I could discuss. I said, oh, okay. I said, it's going to be that frequent. He said, absolutely, and it's that frequent on our show. So,
yeah, AEW is just. I think this year they're going to do so well. I really hope they do, but then it's hard to follow the machine that is WWE.
Yeah.
Let's get into SmackDown last night. I love the main event because it's very rare that we see a 3 stages of hell match. We've seen plenty of 2 out of 3 falls. 2 out of 3 pinfalls a lot, but 3 stages of hell, I love it. I'm very surprised of who won, but I do remember, was it on Ring Takes that you said this will happen?
Thinking it was on Ring Takes, I said it would happen. Some of you guys have showed us crisscross during the week, but I'm thinking it was Ring Takes. I'm doing so many now during the month. I do 12 months, so, but I think it was Ring Takes. I'm very blessed to be doing that. So,
are you shocked about the victory, or are you happy with the victory?
I'm shocked a hair bit by fan speculation of why the victory happened. I didn't make this up. Fanfare is already yelling, The Rock's coming back. So to see that story go full circle and to see The Rock back, I think it's going to be The Rock and Cody Rhodes in WrestleMania. Is what I'm thinking.
Not Cody and Roman 3.
Maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe Cody and The Rock in some fashion. If not, if he's not, if they're not wrestling each other in WrestleMania this year, they will set it for the next pay-per-view after WrestleMania. Either way, I think we'll see some Rock involvement.
It's either way, or they do what The Rock did years ago with John Cena, is make the match 1 year to go. So I think it was WrestleMania, after WrestleMania 27, The Rock came out, John Cena came out, or the other way around, and they literally just said, right, next year's WrestleMania, me versus you. I think that might happen. Some of what happened on WrestleMania 42, and then like you say, Rock will probably come out on right after WrestleMania, and then Cody versus Rock at Saudi WrestleMania. That's the only way.
And then I'm making a bolder prediction than that. I'm predicting that Cody turns and goes with Paul Heyman here at some point. I think we're going to see Cody and Heyman team up.
Can you imagine the bloody noise Heyman will make if he had Cody on his
Absolutely. But they've been real friendly lately, and they seem to have a mutual respect for each other that fans were not aware of. And earlier this year, I can't call the match per se that it happened at, Darren, but earlier this year I saw Cody throw a couple 3 heel moves during the match when he wasn't in the matches, and I thought, I mean, he covered it up. He said, "Uh-oh," and he didn't mean to do that, but I'm thinking the whole while he's testing the water to turn heel.
I think you're right. I think he's going to turn heel this year.
So,
what's your? So there's rumors that a lot of people were angry at that on Monday Night Raw and last night because, well, I hate some of these what they call IWC. It's basically internet fans and ain't got nothing better to do, but even though it's the greatest wrestling show ever, they'll find one little flaw on it and stick on it for the next 50 years. Chris Jericho apparently has left the AEW, he is a free agent, and is scheduled to come back to WWE. Do you think we'll see Chris Jericho at the Royal Rumble or before the Royal Rumble? And if so, which roster should he go on?
Giving this a little bit of thought. I thought this might be a topic to be covered tonight. I think Chris Jericho may make some kind of TV appearance before his pay-per-view, either by videotape or backstage kind of sort of type thing. He may even come out, if he's not in by WrestleMania, he could even come out at an interview after WrestleMania and talk a little bit. But they are collectively bringing him back in on the slow push, and I like that. They're not dropping him right away. I've been a Chris Jericho fan since his WCW days. I thought, my goodness, there's somebody. And I was right again about my prediction of there being somebody. But it wasn't his hair. It wasn't his rock star hair. It wasn't his rock star look. He could wrestle. And that I mean, everything else helped, but he could wrestle. And he's still in it trying to wrestle. And I think when he comes back, we're at least going to see a world title match involving him. I don't know. Fanfare will tell me how more about the possibility of that happening, but the way they respond to him when they actually see him back. if he gets booed a lot or if he gets cheered a lot, chances of him being in the upper tier of WWE again will be good.
I'm looking forward to the matches, say like Johnny Gargano versus Jericho, matches like
Yeah.
that we haven't seen. This is why it's really good to have so many wrestling promotions, is because then you get to see amazing one-off matches or dream matches, not just in the big leagues, but in the indies also.
Only negative thing I have to say about WWE, Matty, at this point in time is we didn't see a lot of AAA action in 2025, and I'm hoping they do involve the AAA more. We saw them a couple of times, but I'd like it to be every few months so that we get to know who the players are. And that's how fans, myself included, can support them. We know who they are. We know something about them. Where that guy might be from, how he might be acting, or what his storyline is to the whole show. I mean, it can't be Ray Phoenix all the time. You know,
That's true.
We got all these guys waiting to come in. Let's start bringing them in.
I mean, Mr. Iguana's way over in AAA.
I've heard of him.
Yeah, he's a man that has a particular light of women where around at the bottom. Dominic Mysterio is way over in AAA. I think he's more over in AAA than he is in WWE
at the moment. Yeah.
El Grande Americano is the biggest babyface in AAA and one of the biggest heels in WWE.
That's where he's been. He's been wrestling in AAA. That's why we haven't seen him.
It's absolutely crazy. I know there's rumor that Chad Gable is coming back, so I think it'll be the Creed brothers and Chad Alpha America.
Been hearing that too.
They will come back and face El Grandes Americanos. I never thought, because I'm obviously being British, I love my British wrestling. So when I see Pete Dunne and Taylor Bate being the Americanos, I'm like, why the frick have they put them like that? No. I understand now. They're on the TV show, they're wrestling, so they must be doing a good job doing it, but I want to see a Pete Dunne break someone's finger. You ever seen that what Pete Dunne ever does?
Yeah.
It's the most crazy thing when you watch it on TV. I was like, please don't snap it off.
And that's my point. If we leave some of the talking behind and get back to the grappling in the ring, that's why we all came. We don't care about the conversations as much in the locker room area, but that's just me.
What's your take on the prices?
On who?
In WWE. The ticket prices in WWE.
Oh, man. That's my soapbox of the day. So I went to see how much tickets were when they come to Raleigh in March. That's really my other hometown. Everyone thinks I was born in Mount Olive. I wasn't. I was born in South Carolina, but I began in Raleigh till I was about 6. For the center area behind the ring where the stars come down the ramp to go out, there's a whole back row that the stars will meet, so they'll have to come this way to get around them.
Yeah.
Hold on to your hat. How much do you think those tickets sell for? In Raleigh, of all places.
It's got to be 1,800.
A little bit over $1,580 for one person. I wouldn't pay that if I had it. Now, what I do envision for myself is, since Wrestling Pedigree is helping me so much in getting my brand out, and all with Wrestling Spotlight and Ring Takes, it's a joint effort at this point, and I'm very appreciative of that. is that one of you guys send me to a show with a backstage pass to wear around my neck, saying who I am and who I'm out there to represent. I would go and get interviews backstage with various guys and women and send them back to you guys. I would do that, but I ain't paying $1,580 even when the day comes and I have it. And the day will come that I will have it. I will not always be in this financial spot, but no, back in my day, we paid 10, 15, 20 bucks. 20 bucks was considered outrageous to get center stage. And that was in the front row before Mama started dating Ric Flair. After she dated Ric Flair, we got backstage and everywhere. Mom did her thing. But anyway, I said this on X, and a buddy of mine actually commented on it. I said, once you go first class, you never want to go back.
Yeah.
I got addicted to first class travel when I was around some of the folks. So,
well, it's hard because when you go to indies, I think over here, the top indie show in the UK is Progress Wrestling. A front row ticket for one is £50, so it is probably about $55 in your money.
that ain't terrible. 1580 terrible.
when you're in the front row watching amazing wrestling, it's the best. But
Right.
if you want to pay $36,000 to watch John Cena's last match in the front row, $36,000, where there's the biggest economy, like it's just unbelievable. That's one of the reasons why I miss Vince is because of the ticket prices.
We were talking about this on Ring Text last night, and the question that was to rule that question in the night, in my opinion, or Wednesday night on the 2-hour shoot that I did with the boys from Boston. They said, where's all this money going that these guys are making? It sure ain't going back into the product. I mean, in my opinion, it's not. So
it's going to stockholders? Stakeholders? It's going to them.
TKO, it's got to be.
Yeah,
it's absolutely got to be.
Is there? I think you wanted to do a piece, didn't you? For is it Ivan? For Ivan?
I do, and I have to find it. Just a minute. Bear with me, folks at home that may be watching this. Little red light comes on, and I forget all about the folks at home sometimes. This is the only live shoot I do. I don't do. So we're not live on my other shoots. But Mr. Bentley goes into 4 million houses.
Yes, for
so True, with that
TV in it.
I did better. Hold on, I don't have it just yet. I've got so much stuff. I have this in 2 different spots on my phone, so I didn't have a back to back. Sorry, guys. So on Wrestling Spotlight with Gerald Bentley, I am the co-host of that show and the host of this show, my own show, which I'm very honored to be here. We'll talk about that in a minute. I do ring commentaries about various wrestlers week to week that I find appealing, that stick out to me in some way. I didn't have a chance to get with Matty on this one, but usually Gerald will throw up some pics of who I may be discussing during the commentary, and that helps the viewers at home. So here we go. When I talk about true legends of the squared circle, I've got to talk about Ivan Koloff, the Russian Bear. Born Oreo Donald Perez, August 25th, 1942. Ivan was not Russian but Canadian. In his day, Ivan wrestled everyone. He was a wrestler, a promoter, a manager, and an author. That's right. Ivan wrote 3 books. Is That Wrestling Fake? released in 2007, co-written with author Scott Till. This book details his life, career, stories, and personal struggles. It covers his journey to becoming a born-again Christian in 1995 and becoming an ordained minister. Life in the trenches. He also contributed to this book by Brano D. and Brisso. I actually have this book, everyone, on ebooks. I'm supposed to be listed as someone he trained on page 160. I guess we'll see when I get there if I'm there. Well, he further discussed his conversation to Christianity and his battles with substance abuse. In Final Bell, Ivan reflects on his career and major events. It is a deeply personal book. It provides his final commentary on his life in and out of the ring. This man, Ivan Koloff, was a game changer and mentor and a real tough individual. True wrestling historians remember him primarily the night in 1971 when he did the unthinkable in Madison Square Garden. In front of 20,000 fans, he beat Bruno Sammartino, which was like Roman Reigns is today back in that day. Ended Bruno's near 8-year reign as the WWF World Heavyweight Champion. The place went silent, folks, kind of like the John Cena and Gunther fight. I actually compared the two fights to each other. I got crazy views of it on X. I thought it was fantastic. I upset some folks. People were crying in the audience because they couldn't believe their hero had fallen. Silence and disappointment turned to anger. A near riot broke out, and the American hero was defeated by a Russian. I haven't talked about this to be right up to 2016 before he passed in 2017. In his prime, that is the kind of heat Ivan Koloff could generate. He was a master of ring psychology, a true villain who knew how to work the crowd. In the 1980s, Koloff headlined the Russian team with Nikita Koloff and Khrushchev. Say that 3 times fast. Terrorizing the Mid-Atlantic territory. That was back in my area of the woods. Ivan was the brains, the grizzled veteran, the coach who guided his nephew to the top. Nephew in quotes, y'all. They feuded with the best, the Road Warriors, the Rock and Roll Express, the kind of competition that brings out the best in the business. But beyond the Russian Bear character, Ivan was a tremendous human being and a great friend and mentor to me personally, yours truly. Yes, he was. He was the kindest soul you ever met outside that ring. He trained a lot of young hopefuls, teaching us not just to moves, but how to be professionals, warning us of the bad stuff that can ruin a career. From the WWF to the NWA, and even in those early days of ECW, Ivan Koloff left his mark wherever he went. A multiple tag team champion, a singles champion everywhere he stepped foot, and a man who dedicated his life to the business. He became master of the Russian chain match, a brutal type of bout that showed his toughness. He was one of wrestling's true greats, the real deal, a friend. We lost him back in 2017, but his legacy, his impact, it lives on through all of us he touched. He was a class act, folks, and that's the bottom line. And in the words of Sammy Davis Jr. about Elvis Presley, none of the other jazz matters. So that's kind of what I do on Juror's show. I try to bring the wrestler to life a little bit and show that they are people. I think most people are guilty of oftentimes forgetting that we are people in the business.
Yeah. I mean, for fans asking for autographs in hotels and airports where they just want time to themselves, we're exactly the same without. We're just humans, so we just want some peace. Um,
Have you guys any more questions, or or do I need to do my closing speech of gratitude?
well, I've gone through my list of what I wanted to ask you this week. Um, if you ain't got nothing, then yeah, you could go for your closing.
Oh, the other thing I have this week, I wrote about it on Facebook, and so far it hasn't gotten a whole lot of attention, even though it might have gotten some reads. I don't think, in my professional eyes, that Vince McMahon is completely away from the WWE. I did hear some inside information today online that from a trusted source that he was not interested in buying the WWE. But if you think, folks, for a minute, 1 second of 1 minute, that old Vince ain't in the picture somehow in the creative teams department, you got to be out of your loving mind. I mean, this is a guy who used to run WWE. I think he has just quietly stepped back behind the scenes. It's been brought out into the spotlight the past week since John Cena's fiasco match, in my opinion, against Gunther, that Vince was in charge of the creative team department until the end of 2023. Now, he could be on vacation. He could be taking some time off. But Vince ain't too far, folks. I smell Vince around like I'm smelling The Rock around, and that's a lot of smelling. So I think the guys are cooking something. That's what I think about it.
Would explain why Stephanie is not employed there then.
Sir?
Would explain why Stephanie would explain why Stephanie isn't employed with WWE.
Yeah. So I just I'm not a bettor, but if I was, I'd bet money on The Rock being back here shortly.
How shortly?
3 months. I mean, who do you think Drew McIntyre got Cody's watch from? The Rock. Come on, everybody. Let's say it together. The Rock. Everybody can do it.
Oh, you are so gonna get heat. You are so gonna get heat. Oh.
I get a little cocky when I think I'm right, and I think I'm right about this. I mean, I don't think Cody gave it to him.
No, but I thought Drew was in the bus.
Yeah.
So I thought you could have took it there.
No, I think that came hand delivered from yours truly, The Rock. I think The Rock went here, boy.
If he does show up, my God, what an episode we're gonna have when you just go full on cocky mode. I went, yep, I told you.
I'm moderately cocky at this point. Thanks to Gerald Bentley.
Oh, I can see us getting here in only episode 1.
So I will give my speech of gratitude. Find it here for a second. And it won't be quite this way every time we meet, folks. Just doing a bit of a double tonight. Okay, I call this Side the Manigal Cain speech of gratitude. Have to read it a little bit if you don't mind. I know some of it, but it's not by heart at this point. Folks, as I sit in my chair tonight, I want to take a moment to give someone their due. I'm talking about my brother in this podcast again, Gerald Bentley, over at Wrestling Spotlight. Gerald found me soon after I did It's Time to Fight with Matthew Terry, who originally found me in the beginning, but is a busy man and hard to catch up to these days. I have been sending Matthew some updates about me. He too is based in the UK. But after that, Gerald Bentley took me under his wing and began showing me the ropes of Wrestling Spotlight. He taught me to find the pointers of the craft. More importantly, he taught me how to believe in myself, and my voice behind the mics. Now, after 2 years of putting in the work, I've stepped into my own as a podcast analyst. Every single week on Cain Uncut, my mission is to bring you the most enjoyable show possible. We're going to have some fun, catch some laughs, take a trip down memory lane, and break down the current affairs hitting the headlines. I want to hear from you, so keep those comments coming. Until next week, stay tuned. And folks, we'll see you next Monday night on Cain Uncut. This is Sonny the Man Eagle Cain and Matty, founder of Wrestling Pedigree, saying so long, everybody. Good night.